Hey guys, Nick here with another couple of quick updates. Just saw a couple things come out. Picky old gamer, friend of mine, just saw an article on IGN stating that Halo Infinite has had production delays primarily due to issues with outsourcing. Apparently, according to IGN, Halo has been having most of its difficulties in relation to the fact that they outsourced most of the game to other companies and they've had major communication issues while they worked on a TV show. So let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. So basically what it's saying here is Halo Infinite devs deny claim. They're denying claims that the TV show had issues with it. Awesome, guys. Okay, so now they're claiming that had nothing to do with it. Infinite developer refuted the claim that the report that the Halo TV show in the works at Showtime distracted developers and leadership and had a major impact on Infinite's development. The spokesperson labeled the Infinite and TV show as completely independent projects whose development did not impact one another or prove a distraction. The original report sources claim, which is what came out a couple hours ago, which is what Picky had reported on. 343 Industries has devoted transmedia team working on Showtime creation and production of the Halo TV show. This group is separate from the Halo Infinite development team, which it should have been all along. If it wasn't, then fuck you. These are two completely independent projects with dedicated teams and leadership that do not impact one another. A source speaking anonymously to Tor for the original report claims the show was taking priority instead of focusing on making sure the development progress was on the right path of reaching its targeted deadline. While 343's response rebukes this claim, the spokesperson did not speak to the report's claim that a significant portion of the game is being outsourced to third-party contractors, which the report described as a source of some of Halo's Infinite's development problems. Basically, the original report said that dealing with the third-party development team was a nightmare, and that was what was causing them so much grief while they were trying to get this done. If these are indeed separate teams, and if indeed that the project team was working on the project, and whoever's supposed to be working on the show was working on the show, then good, fine, everything's fine. We're all fine here. If not, then you need to get your damn act together, 343. All offense intended. You are a game developer. You are not a TV show director. You are not a producer. You are not just CGI artists. You are game developers. Your priority is, and should have been, on your launch title for your console. That's where your first priority is. Once that's up and running, you can go dick around with Showtime shows and whatever the hell else you feel like you need to do. Don't get me wrong, I'd really like to see a Halo TV show, particularly on something like HBO or Showtime. I think it has potential to be very good. However, I don't want the game to suffer for it. That's what we're here for. If that early report is true, what the hell's wrong with you? Anyway, moving on to the next update that I have. This literally just dropped about 6 or 7 minutes ago, which is pretty much why I immediately pulled it up and started this video, because I wasn't going to do a video today. The Xbox Series X tech specs have released the tech specs for the Xbox Series S. God, it's like a tongue twister. Holy crap. So let's go over these a little bit. Let's do this. Okay, so GPU power on the X Series, 12 teraflops, which is what they've been touting the whole time. Series S, 4, so it's down by a factor of 3. So I don't know what the Xbox One X is. I'm assuming it's probably comparable to this. The SoC, the 7 nanometer, that's the basically part of the CPU chip. That's 7 nanometer, that matches. The processor is the same, which is what we've been hearing rumored all along, that the processor was not going to be downgraded between the two. So that's good. The GPU is a Navi 2X GPU with a 52 RNA and 2 clock 2.0 CUs. I'm not sure of the classification of this processor. I suspect that this is a custom GPU that's being made for them. This looks like a single GPU as opposed to a dual GPU, and probably has less memory on each GPU. Target performance is 4K at 60 frames a second here, and 8K gaming for the Pro version. 1440p at 60 frames a second, so more like 2K for the S. The storage is going to be 1 terabyte, 4.0 SSD, and with 2.4 gigabyte a second uncompressed and 4.8 gigabyte compressed. This just has a standard PCIe 4.0 SSD. So you're not going, and then they're not stating how big this is either. So this part's a concern for me right here. Backwards compatibility is the same between pretty much all of them. Yeah, there's absolutely no difference here. Oh, here's a difference on the backwards compatibility. This is next gen support. This is Xbox Series X exclusives. So there may actually be some differentiation between the two units as far as what they can play. So if it says a Series X exclusive, this doesn't indicate to me that the Series S can play it. That's bad. That's not good at all. Higher MSRP, duh. The enthusiast price, duh. Lower MSRP. Let's see. Power supply is pretty close on both of them. One's a 250 watt to 300 watt. One's less than 250 watts. That's actually pretty low. I have like a gig watt in mine computer that I always overbuild. So the disk drive, this one has a 4K UHD Blu-ray and Blu-ray, BD, DVD, and the S has no disk drive. So your S is going to be your digital only system, and it's going to be a far inferior system, which we knew that was going to be the case when they started talking about the Series S and this Lockhart and all this stuff. We knew that was going to be the case. What we didn't know is that it may not actually play these Xbox Series X exclusives. That's super bad. I don't like that at all. I don't even like seeing that on here. The next gen support's good, but I don't know what they mean by next gen support versus Xbox Series X exclusives. The no disk drive, that's no big deal. I would have preferred that they had dropped about, maybe $100 and made this the same as this, just with no disk drive. That would have been my preferred preference, but that's not what they did. So we're going to have to see how this plays out. According to Reason Report, the Xbox Series S technical specifications seem to reflect a console that is perhaps not as toned down as some may have expected. The obvious graphical downgrade is there, but relatively speaking, the only one that's a real compromise in the Xbox Series X in particular. Series S will seemingly be powered by a version of AMD's Big Navi, the RDNA2 Radeon graphics hardware that will also be powering PCs later this year. Additionally, the Series S will have a slight reduction in RAM memory, 10 gigabytes, blah, 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 mostly going all over the specs. Overall, these stats seem to reflect around a 60% difference in graphical power between the Xbox Series X and Series S. The reduction in RAM may need to be clarified. It's unclear. The extra 6 gigabytes may relate to the processing load in the Xbox Series X versus the Series S. That's the other thing that was a big deal on this one, was the amount of RAM. There's 16 gigabytes of RAM here. There's 10 at 560 gigabytes and 6 at 336. God, I can't talk today. Gigabytes a second. So that makes up your total of 16. So you have 10 dedicated to this and 6 dedicated to this, whereas this just has 10. That's what they're talking about by the missing 6. The storage capacity for the Series S has not yet been provided, which is pretty much what I stated. Also, an SSD storage device, so loading times presumably won't be affected. Right now, the main difference, other than graphical power, is that there's no disk drive and a targeted resolution of 1040p. 1440p instead of 4K. Fans who are keeping an eye on their budget may be in luck with the Series S. Let's see, judging from the Series S, it seems like it's a perfect compromise for those looking for a budget-friendly next-gen option. But no mention of the one thing that concerns me, which is next gen ready versus the Xbox Series X exclusives. That I want more clarification on before I would buy in on the S. Right now, if I were in the gaming market for a Series X, I would probably aim for the Series X and not change to the Series S until they clarify that one minor thing on the details. I don't want to raise any major alarms because it may not be a big deal. It may just be a phrasing thing. And it may be perfectly capable of playing everything the Series X plays just at a lower resolution, which is exactly what we expected. However, I would like to hear more clarification from Microsoft on that matter before I would jump in on an S. I would also have liked to have seen them go the PS5 route, where the system is exactly identical and there is no reduction in power and performance of the system, and that the only thing that is removed is the disk drive to save you money. So we're going to have to see how this shakes out. That's pretty much the two things that I had for you guys. One that had just come out, and the one from this afternoon, which looks like it's been pretty much rebooked, with them saying that they're completely different development studios. Hopefully that is the case, and that's not what caused Halo Infinite to be quite the cluster it looked on their gameplay reveal. I'll admit their 30-second teaser trailer looked amazing, but I was not completely sold on the gameplay trailer and felt like they needed more time in order to shore up the game so that they could deliver us the product that they would be proud of and we would be happy to play. Hopefully that is still going to be the case. Hopefully this reboot is true and they were not focused on making a TV show versus doing what they're good at, which is making video games. But I'm going to go ahead and get this out to you guys so you guys have it. I will see you guys next time.